lot on fashion trends and understanding the customer that way, but there's this new way, there's this new amount of information that we can now use to help us get to know the customer better. So it was really, really good information, and I left the meeting feeling really like, wow, like that was really, really helpful, and I felt that everybody else would value from hearing that as well, which is why I wanted to do the talk. I wanted to feed back everything that David had said to me back to you guys. I do have a background in online retail as well. I've been working for a startup clothing company for about 2 years now. There's two businesses. So one sells women's clothing, and the other one, which we launched in January this year, sells lingerie. So I've been involved in building websites and everything, that all the necessary steps it takes to keep an online store going. So I've combined the things that David told me with some of the knowledge I've already got to try and make a really informative presentation for you all, so you've got a bit of a background on it, and when you do go, we're leaving here in a few weeks and you're all going to start your careers, you have got a bit of an insight into what's going on. So I'm just going to start with a video from David, just introducing what I'm going to be talking about today and a little bit of advice from him.
Hi, so my name's David and I'm the Director of Digital at Marks & Spencer's, and we were lucky enough to have Grace with us for a couple of weeks on her work experience. And when we were talking about the impact of all things digital on retail, there were a few things that stood out for me and do stand out for me. The first is, as students, you guys are really getting your heads around the different retail models that are out there nowadays. So I think you're talking about Rebecca Minkoff as one example. I'd encourage you all to explore out on the internet, retail magazines, and any sources you can to understand the different types of retail models that are out there. And in particular, retailers are doing interesting things with data and analytics. So the Rebecca Minkoff example is a great one because it's all about how they're personalising the in-store experience using data and CRM. Get your heads around that. The second thing I just want to emphasise is really for you to understand the breadth of opportunity that there is for you in e-commerce. I think if you're looking in from the outside, it might just look like you can do some window dressing, essentially build some landing pages, worry about what's on the home page. That's a tiny fraction of what the teams here do. There's about 230 people on this floor here in Marks & Spencer's, running marksandspencers.com, another 120 people offshore in India doing lots of data work. And what those guys are doing are daily tasks like tuning on-site search to make sure that you're searching for things you'll find in relevant products, building new listings pages of products, worrying about the weather, worrying about what's in the email, what's on social, and then there's really good entry-level jobs around sample management and photography. Great way into my business is to join the sample management and photography team, so getting the products listed on the website every day. So get your head around the opportunities that are in e-commerce, because I think you'd find them really quite interesting. And the final thing I just want to emphasise is that for all of you who are looking for careers in buying and merchandising, you've got to get your heads around analytics on what it means for you as a buyer. We're moving from a world of 20, 30 years ago where, frankly, the rag trade was driven by lots of gut instinct and insight into fashion. Today, you need elements of that, but you need a lot more analytics, and you need to understand your allocation and replenishment models. You need to understand who's buying what, and you need to use the internet and your online presence as a retailer to drive your buying decisions. The online presence in Marks & Spencer's now helps our buyers understand products that are being returned, customer reviews, who's liking what, who's viewing products and not buying products, and really understanding the impact of size ratios on the customer's experience. There's lots and lots of data that we share with our buying teams, and the good buying teams are using that to inform their future decisions. So just encourage you, if you're thinking about going into buying, hopefully getting your initial jobs in buying, that you're turning up and championing the connections with online and championing the use of data and analytics in buying. Have a great day.
So it's really interesting what David said, and I'm going to go into more detail about everything that he has mentioned. But I've tried to make this presentation as practical as possible, so I strongly advise that you take notes through it. There's quite a lot of terminology that you might not be aware of. So if you can take notes and remember that, you will probably be applying that when you do go to work. So I just wanted to start off with talking about customer relationship management, which was what David mentioned. I just wanted to define this because I'm going to go on to talk about a few examples of CRM strategies and how retailers are using them. So it's a strategy for managing all your company's relationships and interactions with your potential customers. It helps you stay connected to them, streamline processes, and improve your profitability. So the first example of this, in terms of futuristic retail and where it's heading and how we are selling to customers, is website personalization. There's 3 different types, and each type allows retailers to incredibly tailor an experience specifically to you. So the first one is product recommendation, which probably a lot of you will have experienced that. It's the most common one on websites at the moment. But that is done by the retailer knowing your purchase history, your shopping behaviour, knowing what you're viewing on the website and what other people like you that fall into the same demographic as you are looking at. So it will bring up suggestions of alternatives to a product you're viewing, something that might go with it, and similar items. And then the second one is content targeting. So that is the homepage, and so me seeing the homepage completely different to how one of you guys is going to see that, and that is a lot more data driven than recommendation. That is that will bring up different like a different creative layout on the homepage depending on who it is viewing it. So people that are really good at doing this is very.com. They are actually able to make 1.2 million different versions of their homepage for each of their different customers. So an example of this would be a 20-year-old customer who usually shops with Very to get her dresses to go out the weekend. When she goes onto the website, she's going to see a selection of the brands that she shopped before, all to do with party wear and going out, and maybe some more suggestions of ones that she hasn't tried before but might like based on ones she's bought previously and based on what other people like her have previously bought. And then a mum who will use Very maybe to, like a homeowner, a middle-aged lady might use it to get all the things that they're going to be furnishing their house with. So they will go onto the page, and their landing page will be to do with interior, the household and electronic offerings that Very have. And then finally there is the listing targeting, which is a lot more complicated to do than the other two. It requires a lot more data and a lot more high tech to do this one. But basically, if I went on ASOS's website and I went on ASOS's dresses, it will bring up in order of from what they think I'm going to like the best to what I'm probably not going to like, all the different kinds of dresses. And that again is based on my shopping behaviour, other people's like me shopping behaviour, products I've bought before. So they're really using the data that they're getting from you, from how you're shopping online, to create new experiences for you and make shopping easier. And another way that Very do the listing targeting is they do it with navigation. So say there was a mom who uses Very to buy a lot of things for her kids. When she goes onto the website, they've made it easier for her to find the children's department. She will just hover over the navigation bar, which will bring up the big drop box, and in the far left hand corner, right under where her mouse will be from opening that box, will be the kids section, so she can just click straight into it. The next one that I wanted to talk about was near me Google searches. They're really, really popular. They're up 130% on the year in terms of use, and 88% of it is done on mobile. So it's just a new way that retailers are driving us to their stores. So any retailer that is aware of this and is doing it well will have got this set up with Google to bring up all their store locations. So I've put an example here, typed in Marks and Spencer's near me from where I was at the time. It brings up all the closest ones to me, and I can go straight to the store. And a new opportunity for retailers that Google is currently working on is product near me searches. So rather than you just being aware of the store and you know that you want to go there, if you have a specific product that you know that you need to pick up, for example, a L'Oreal mascara, I can type in L'Oreal mascara near me, and soon it will be able to bring up there is a Boots 1 minute away from you that stocks this. So it's just a new way that retailers are using data and how we're using our phones to drive us to their stores. And another really, really interesting way of where the retail's going in terms of store space, when online came and it became really, really big and we all jumped on the boat with it and we all use it, a lot of people were saying the death of the high street, how are the shops going to cope with so many people not spending money in stores and now spending it online? Well, they aren't competing against each other anymore. They are they're joining forces and they're combining. And there's some really, really interesting ways of how they're doing that by using technology and data that they've got from customers from online into store space. So it's going to change the way that we shop. Selling space is going to be a lot smaller in terms of how much stock you can get out on the shop floor. It'll be more about still having the stock out there but not cramming it on, and more about giving the customers an experience. And I've got a really good example of how that's going to happen from Rebecca Minkoff, which I'll show you in a minute. But I went to a conference about the future of retail, and there was a lot of industry people there on a panel, and they were referring to it as theatrical retail. So using store space to really, really create an experience rather than a customer just going in the way we do now, picking things up, going to the changing room. It's really busy. It sometimes can be quite stressful. It's changing that for the customer to make something really nice. So I'm going to show you a video of how Rebecca Minkoff are doing it in their New York flagship store.
Hi, my name is Haley Cypher, and I'm with the eBay Inc. Retail Innovation Team, and I'm here at the beautiful flagship Rebecca Minkoff store in New York City. We've partnered together to create the Connected Store, a highly digital and seamlessly connected experience that brings the best of the online world into the physical. Together, we're going to change the future of retail. As the shopper begins to browse, she'll find the Rebecca Minkoff store is a physical manifestation of all the best parts of the online experience. The connected wall, a beautiful large mirror display, shows the latest Rebecca Minkoff brand content, runway shows, photos, and anything happening on the social channels. By pressing the mirror, she initiates an interactive experience, where she can browse the latest looks, find products she likes, even request a fitting. She can order drinks, and download the mobile app directly from the mirror. And by pressing Send to My Room, our shopper can initiate a one-on-one style session. When the room's ready, she'll get a text message. Upon entering the fitting room, the shopper will find the product she requested, in addition to suggestions from the stylist. Adjustable lighting in the fitting room also allows the shopper to change and control her environment. The fitting room uses RFID to magically recognize each item in the room. If the shopper needs a different size, cut, or color, she can easily request it from a stylist by simply touching the glass of the mirror. The shopper also has the option to attach everything she's tried on in the fitting room to her personal profile. In the future, this will allow her to access what she's tried on, what she's bought, and to receive intelligent recommendations. When the shopper is finished with the fitting room session, she has the option to send her selected items directly to checkout. Once the stylist confirms the items she'd like to purchase, she'll instantly receive a digital receipt. Together, Rebecca Minkoff and the eBay Inc. Retail Innovation Team are bringing new digital technology into the retail experience, helping the customer connect with the store in a way they've never experienced before.
So it's really interesting how they're using tech to create a totally new experience for customers that they will have never had before. But from a buying perspective, they have been using online data to create these experiences, but they've actually had the opportunity now to learn even more about their customers and how they're shopping. And this has actually caused Rebecca Minkoff to change the direction of the ranges that they have. It was mainly a lot of workwear, but then because they have this interactive fitting room, they were seeing how customers were outfit building and how they were putting things together and other accessories that they were using. And they saw that customers were trying to make sort of more casual date night looks, whereas they were predominantly workwear. They saw that this was happening and saw that the customers were clearly wanting this, so they did actually change the collection to include more of that. So from having all this new data to create these experiences, there is actually comes with a lot more data that as a buyer you can take from there and learn more about your customer. But tech like this, the Rebecca Minkoff example, is quite out there, and it is a luxury retailer, but that doesn't mean that this technology isn't scalable. It will still work in larger retailer stores, so like Zara, where there's a lot of product in the stores. It won't have a model exactly like this because it just wouldn't work with that business model, but it might have a small screen next to the mirror in the fitting room that they'll bring you up sizing options, colour options, product recommendations to things that you're trying on. And that's a way that other retailers can adopt this technology approach and interact with their customers whilst they're shopping in the store. And then there's just one more thing that's going on in the future of retail that I wanted to talk about, and that is oh, sorry, actually, I'll go through this. This is an example from the conference I went to. It's actually done by Bio Design Agency, which is only across the road from us here at the Academy. And they've put together a really nice way of how you can use tech in a store, as just another example. So it's Thursday night and Kate needs a new dress for a hen night the weekend. She looks at her favourite retailer's latest line via her mobile. She then uses the app to book a time slot for her lunch hour. She then chooses several outfits in different sizes and requests they're available at the changing room. When she arrives at the store, she's led to the changing room where her selected dresses are ready for her to try on. 30 minutes later, she is happily buying via contactless payment on her smartphone. So this is a design agency that has come up with this and will sell that to a retailer as a way that they can use tech that they will provide for in their stores. So this is another example of how it's going to be changing. And then the final one I wanted to talk about was 1 hour delivery. So retailers competing with how fast they can get products to the customer. Amazon are currently doing Amazon Prime now. So if you're a Prime member in certain areas of the UK, it's mainly in cities, but it is rolling out to be across the whole country. You can get certain items on Amazon delivered to you in under an hour. So I've got some tweets here from what customers are saying about it. So the Amazon Prime Now app for London is blowing my tiny mind. Living in the future. It really is the future. Businesses are using these right now looking at it seems quite out there and futuristic, but they're setting the tone for customer expectation, and we will get used to and hear about this, and we will expect it from all of the retailers. So all of the retailers will in some way adopt this approach. And another really, really crazy way that Amazon is going to do delivery is Amazon Prime Air. So they're going to have little drones that fly around the air and can deliver parcels to you in under half an hour. So I've got a little video to show you how that's going to work. So it's really interesting how they're doing it, but it's really important to be aware of all these different models that are coming up, because in our career lifetime, we're all about to start our careers. We are going to be working with this. We'll be working with computers. We'll be working with the machines for our whole career lifetime. So it's important to be aware of what's coming up and the different types of models. I just wanted to go on to talk about now online stores and how they operate and all the necessary steps that are needed to keep one going. So I've made a little diagram of what I think, and from my experience working with it and from how Marks and Spencer's do it, a little model of how all the little key things that you need to do to keep an online store running. So I'm going to start in the far left corner with getting the product online, because obviously without the product on there you've got nothing to sell. So to do that you need to have the stock. So as a buyer you need to make sure that you understand the different size ratios that you need online. People are more likely to buy really, really big sizes and smaller sizes online because they know that they're difficult to get in store and they're more likely to be on there. So it's understanding the different sizing ratios with that and just understanding the demand for your online store and making sure that you've got all the right amount of stock for that. And then you've got to have someone take photos of the products, and you need to do that in the style of whatever the brand is of the retailer you're working for. Everybody has a different way of doing it. Each of those product photos tells a story, and they all need to be consistent and unique to that retailer. And then you need to have the product description, so you need to have all the fibre compositions, all of that on, and a little brief, nice little paragraph, short sentence about how you can wear the product, what you can match it with, and a little bit more detail about it to really sell it to the customer. And then obviously you've got to name the product, and I'm going to go into more detail about the importance of that. So once you've got the stock online, you've got the product online, and you've built a beautiful website, you then need to drive traffic to it. So to do that, you have all these different kinds of marketing tools. So if you've got affiliate marketing, which is like bloggers, we're all very aware of them. We're in the age where they massively influence us. So bloggers are driving us to online stores. So that's an example of affiliate marketing. And then loyalty scheme, it's not actually currently used by all retailers at the moment, but it is going that way. Because they are valuing data so much, loyalty schemes just give them another opportunity to get more information on their customers, because it stops any kind of anonymous purchases. Like for Marks and Spencer's, for example, it's really going to help them understand their customers more. A lot of people in the news always say, oh, they don't know who they're selling to. Well, they've now launched Sparks, and that's going to stop, because they've got a lot of people coming in at their lunchtime trade shopping food, and it's just anonymous £5 and £10 notes over the till. They don't know who it is on the other side that's buying it. But having this Sparks card, they can totally get all the age and everything of each of their customers and see what they're buying and how they're buying, and really get to understand their customers more. So that's going to really help them in terms of improving their connection with the customers. But it's a massive thing for a lot of retailers, and it is a really, really powerful tool of marketing for driving people to your site. And then there is SEO, which is search engine optimization, which I'm going to go into a lot more detail about, because it's really, really important as a buyer for you to understand how that works. And then there's pay-per-click, which is to do with SEO as well. So that is like sponsored ads on Google, where a retailer has paid to be at the top of the Google search page, or has ads running down the right-hand side of when you go and Google something. And then there is brand, so that's just general brand building. Brand building is through everything a retailer does. So keeping that really seamless and consistent is so important, and just making people aware of your brand is going to drive them to the website. And then social, it's obviously huge. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, YouTube, whatever platform, all the platforms that are out there, each retailer uses them a different way depending on who their customer is, and puts out content differently to each other depending on who the customer is. But that is, like, we all know it's huge. We all use it all the time. It's got a massive part of our lives, but that is a massive way that retailers can drive traffic to their website. And then finally, email marketing. This one's really important as well, as the retailer is able to drop directly into your inbox. So if they are using personalization with their emails, so they're personalizing the marketing they're sending to you, they have data on you, they know about you, they have shopping purchase history from you, they know what you like, they can send you an email directly to your inbox that they hope is something that you're going to want to see. So it's going to stop all the unsubscriptions and people just not even opening the emails, and get the click-through rate up a lot. So and email marketing isn't that expensive either for retailers to do, because they just have a graphic designer who makes the little things on Photoshop, put it into the software of whatever it uses, and just send it straight out to the customers. So it's a really, really powerful tool. And then finally is conversion. So you've got the nice site, you've got the products on there, you've got people to the site. You now need to convince people to add what they've got in their cart to the checkout and take it through and pay for it. So to do that, to get your conversion rate up, you need to have easy delivery and returns. That's really, really important. As consumers, we are quite reluctant to pay that £4 delivery charge, which is why click and collect has really become really, really popular. Because it's weird, really. We're all right to pay £4 to go on the tube to pick up the parcel, but we somehow have this strange thing where we don't want to pay £4 to actually pay for it to be delivered. So we are massively more encouraged if we have free delivery and really, really easy, quick delivery as well. Massively influences if a customer's going to buy. So having a really good offering of that is really important. And then optimizing the website. This year, this has become a lot more important in terms of mobile, because now we shop so much on our mobile. ASOS's sales are done 50% on mobile, so they are really, really focused on their app and making sure that's all working well, and making sure their mobile website is optimized. And because it's so annoying when you are on your phone and you're trying to buy something and the website just doesn't work with your mobile phone, you just lose interest really, really quickly and go off, and that's it. The retailer's lost the potential money that you will have spent. So it's important to make sure it works really well on mobile, desktop, and tablet. And then finally, quick checkout and payment process. You don't want to be waiting ages to fill in your details and have it all complicated. You want it done quick and easy. So they're all the necessary things that you need to do, and you need to make sure you're nailing to keep people shopping with you and make sure that your online store is turning over. So I'm going to talk now about how people in industry are using this data that is now available to us from retailers all having an online presence. I first wanted to talk about Zara. Zara are winning against all their competitors at the moment, and yeah, they have really, really good product, but they have that because they are massively using CRM and this really, really good business model to know exactly what the customers want and give it to them. So they have a very, very different supply chain to what a lot of people do. They are based in Spain and they own a lot of their factories in Spain. So they all have it centralized there. Spain is a good location as well to distribute things across the world. They can get things to different parts of the world in 48 hours, which compared to what a lot of the things we look at college, when the lead times are done by boat and they take a really long time. But they do, it's called just-in-time production, or one-piece flow. And it's making only what is needed, when is needed, and in the amount needed. So what Zara do, they have this IT database, and it collects all the sales data, all the returns data, and every evening the store managers have to go on and input data that they have, anything that they've learned about customers' shopping behaviour that day, and it goes all into their feeds into this database, goes back to the distribution centre. The designers then pick it up, read it, find out what the customer's doing, understand their mindset, digest it, and then make changes according to that. So an example of this is you buy a jumper from Zara and it keeps fraying, so you return it, and a lot of other people are doing that as well. That will flag up on their data system and the designer will see that. But because it's just a fray, it's something that, because they've done a small buy of it in the first place, because with this just-in-time production, what they do is they bulk buy their fabric and then they make everything, if they put everything into manufacturing at the very, very last minute. So they know exactly that the customer wants it before they do it, to stop any kind of stock loss and avoid putting things into markdown. So if this jumper is fraying and a lot of people are returning it, they've only done a small buy of it anyway, because the managers have to reorder product of whatever it is that the store is running out of twice a week. They're just filling it up, rather than them just sending you things that they think that you're going to sell, but you're not actually selling. It's just missing out a lot of the wastage that goes on in retail at the moment, and profit loss that a lot of retailers suffer from. So if they have this jumper, a lot of people returning it, they will, the designers will pick that up and they'll alter the design. So then when they put the next lot of that jumper into the manufacturing process, and because they can get it out to the store so quick, it has been changed and they've nipped that problem in the bud and it's not going to happen. But then maybe if it's to do with a blazer, it doesn't fit right, then it's kind of, they can't really fix that. So they would discontinue that product, but it's okay because they've only done a small buy of it anyway and they're not losing any stock. But what from doing this, Zara's managed to cut their lead times down from 6 months to 3 weeks, which is why when catwalk shows go out, 3 weeks later you can see a copy of that design in the Zara store, and this is how they do it. And this is how they're using data to really give the customer what they want and maximize their profitability. They're winning against everybody. Nobody can keep up with Zara, but a lot of retailers might now try and adopt this approach because it does work so well. When I was talking before about all the key things that are needed to go into an online store to keep it running, I mentioned SEO and said I was going to go into more detail about it. This is really, really important for buyers to understand. It's quite difficult to get your head around. I was working with it for quite a while before I could fully understand it, so I've tried to make it as simple and easy to understand as I possibly could. But basically, Google sends out these little spiders that look at everything that's on the internet, and that's how they bring back all the search results for you. So Google indexes everything that is on the web. They've got it in like a library, and when you type in keywords on the Google search bar, these little spiders are going out and picking up sites based on these two things, which is relevance and popularity. So that more relevant you are and the more popular your site is, the higher up the Google page ranking you're going to come, which is really, really important for retailers. They all want to be on that first page, because customers readjust their search terms after, if they're on the first page and they type something in and nothing comes up of what they want, they won't go start flicking to the second and third page. They will just readjust it, type something else in to find it. So it's really important to get on that first page, and it's even more important to get into the top 3, which is referred to as the golden triangle, because that is where most people click into. So relevance is measured by Google by them finding more than one page on the website that features the words that you've searched for. And then popularity is measured by the click-through rate, so how many people click on the website. Google thinks if more people are clicking on it, then the content is more valuable and it's more relevant and it's just better. And this is done by algorithms, and it does it all in like half a second. But I put up an example up here. I've typed in festival clothes. So retailers that you would assume would do festival clothes are ASOS, Boohoo and Pretty Little Thing, and that's because they have mentioned festival clothing several times on their website. So in terms of relevance, they're up there, up at the top, and then in terms of popularity, they're all 3 really, really popular online stores, and that's why they're coming to the top. And then the bit that's highlighted in green is the pay-per-click, which I mentioned before. That is paid. So sometimes you will see how the SEO has come up here. You will see a website that comes up at the top and it says ad next to it in a little box. That is because that retailer has paid to come to the top of the feed. That's not because they're organically at the top of the feed based on their relevance and popularity. They paid to do that. And sometimes it will come up down the right-hand side as well. But a lot of customers do disregard the pay-per-click because they know it's an ad and they just ignore it. So getting into the first page in the top 3 of the SEO of what's actually Google is picking up as being relevant is really, really important for retailers. And I've got an example of one here from the website I work for. So this is, the website's called Olive and Lyle. So this is the one that sells the women's clothing. And then the second one is called Rose and Feather Intimates, and that is the one that sells the lingerie. But Olive and Lyle stocks some of the Rose and Feather Intimates range on their website. So this is an example from Olive and Lyle. So a lot of people search bodysuit, nude lace bodysuit. So that's why we've called the product, the Elsa is the name of it, and then bodysuit brackets nude, because Google's going to pick that up as being relevant if people are typing that in, because it's a popular thing that people search on Google. And if any of you guys want to go and have a look at what people are searching on Google, if you know that you want to work with a certain product area, say you want to work with lingerie, you want to work with this new intimates market, this different kind of lingerie, you can go on to Google Trends. It's free to use, and you can just go on and type in things that you think people will search on Google, and it'll bring up stats on how many people are looking at it. It'll show you across a whole year where it's spiked in terms of interest. So it's really, really good way of understanding what's going on in consumer mindset is what people are searching on Google. But we can find out more of that as a retailer from looking on there. And we will name in the product description, which is in the bottom right hand corner, different things, different words that people will be searching on Google to, again, add more of those keywords into the pages to make it more relevant, to help it come up higher in the ranks of Google. And then the thing that I've underlined is a meta description. Now, this doesn't directly impact SEO. Google will not bring up keywords on there and base your relevance on that. That is when you Google something and it comes up with, this is how it will come up on Google. It's got it at the top there, but it will come up with a little short description of what it is that this page is going to show you. And that is really important for influencing your click-through rate, which influences your popularity. So even though it's not directly linked with SEO, it does bring you up the page ranking. So if you can put in a a little nice description of what this page is about, and it's something that's going to engage the customer, it is going to influence your click-through rate and your popularity. So it's really important to understand how SEO works as a buyer for reasons that I'm going to talk about now. But retailers massively value Google search users because they are actively seeking out what the retailer offers. So say they are shopping for big sizes in shoes or a red dress or whatever, something quite specific. They are they're looking for it, they want to buy it, they're not browsing, they're actively seeking it out, so they're more likely to convert into customers. So a lot of retailers massively value this and want to get it right, and as a buyer you need to know how to get this right. So I've got some examples of how people in industry are using SEO. So this is some examples from Marks and Spencer's and some problems they've had with it. So Marks and Spencer's does quite a lot of product innovation, and they try to come up with new sort of things that they can sell to their customers, things that not a lot of people do. So they've come up with this cardigan thing that's a bit like a coat, but it's actually a cardigan, and they called it the Coatigan, and it went onto Google as the Coatigan, but nobody searches Coatigan on Google because you just don't, you search cardigan. So they've missed an opportunity there for searchable term, for not calling it a searchable term. Had they had the buyer from the start, when they input into the software that they use that then goes out into ecom where they put it in, had they put in cardigan, then it would have gone online as cardigan and they wouldn't have missed that opportunity. But nobody searches Coatigan, so that's just an example of how you need to be choosing the right product name and how important it is. Another one is the onesie. So Marks and Spencer, when these were all quite, this is why it says out of stock, because these are historic examples that I found from Google, but when the onesies were quite very popular at that time, and they were, everybody was calling them onesies, and all customers just thought that was what they were all called. But onesie is actually a trademarked name from a German company who created the onesie, but everybody else just copied the design. The design wasn't patented, but the name was. But all customers thought of this item as a onesie. That's what it's just called. But M&S tends to try and play by the rules. They don't like to sneak around and do things. So to avoid legal trouble, they called it all-in-ones. But nobody on Google was finding them because nobody searches for that. Everybody searched for onesie. So in the end, they made the decision to call it onesie and just were going to wait for a legal letter, which never arrived because everybody was doing it anyway. But that's another example of how much, if you call the product the right name, it can influence the sales. And then the final example from M&S is to do with their product innovation. They have this patented waterproofing technology called Stormware. So they were including that in the product title, but nobody on the internet searches Stormware Proof Mac. Everybody searches a waterproof Mac, a waterproof coat. So they were including that in the product title and making it unsearchable if somebody was looking for waterproof, which is essentially what it is. It's just a very good technology that they've got that does make it do that. So rather than putting it in the product name, you should put it in the product description. And as a buyer, you need to be aware of that because you will be having conversations with your ecom team about SEO. And Marks and Spencer's, they work with the buyers on popular Google search terms, so what people out there are searching for on Google when they're trying to shop, and then they go and name products based on that. So rather than you as a buyer, you've made this product and you naming it best how you think it best describes it, you now will be doing it based on how Google is telling you it best works. So it's really important to understand SEO and be aware of it because you will be coming into contact with it and you will have people talking to you about it. And then finally, I just wanted to go through a few more ways of how you can use the data that is out there and available to you online to learn more about your customer. So popular searches is pretty much what I've just been talking about. You can do that externally on Google, and you can also do it internally on your website. And then another really good one is failed searches. So this is internally, this is just on your website, this isn't on Google. So this would work really well for branded if you're working for a department store and there's this new, say there's a new makeup brand from America or whatever, and it's not available in the UK yet, but the customers know about it from social media and they really want it. You will be made aware of that because you'll find that your customer keeps typing it in onto your website and it will come up saying, sorry, we don't have that brand, and that will come up to you in the data of what's going on with the website. how customers are shopping. So if you have this brand that keeps cropping up, you can then go, okay, well, clearly there's a customer demand for it here. Let's get it. It's risk-free buying. You know that people want it. You've got it there in numbers. You've got it there in statistics that people want this product or brand or whatever it is. So failed search is a really, really good one to be aware of and be looking at to learn more about what your customer wants and giving them what they want. And then customer reviews is a good one. People just leaving reviews on the products on the website is a really good way of finding out what they think about it, because the review they're leaving is for either it's recommendation for other customers, so it might be a good thing or it might be a bad thing. But for an example, say a pair of jeans, a customer might comment saying you should go up a size in this. They're not true to size or whatever, so they're not putting customers off from buying it, but that you can take that feedback and see, okay, well, there's clearly a problem with the fit here. It's not one that you would be made aware of in terms of returns because people are keeping them anyway, they're just changing the size. But now you're made aware that these jeans don't fit properly, and jeans are usually a flow item that you're going to keep from season to season. So if you can get information about that the customers aren't happy with the fit, but they're still willing to keep them and go up a size, then for the next time you do reorder that pair of jeans, you can make sure that the fit is right. And then another really good one is viewed and not bought. So how many people have looked at the product and not bought it? So if a product has 10,000 views and only 2 people have bought it, that's not good. And it's figuring out why that's happened and acting on that. And then finally, returns data. So obviously we all know with how you return things online, you have to fill out exactly why you're returning it. So you're getting really, really detailed information about what is wrong with this product. So if you can take that in and look at it and then amend it, it's going to put you in a better position. So that's pretty much everything that I wanted to say, but I just wanted to finally emphasize just how important the communication is through the ecom team, which you'll all be working with, and you as buyers or merchandisers. You need to be able to hold a conversation with them. You need to understand how their online business is working, because they will be talking to you. So hopefully from some of the things I've gone through today and the terminology I've used, which they will be throwing at you, you're going to understand it more, and you're going to be in a better position when you are going to work in the next few weeks and somebody starts talking to you about it. And then one more thing, whilst I've got your attention, I just wanted to ask you all to follow the Student Council Twitter. It's a Twitter account for you, run by me and Sam, the student president. So it's just, if you have any feedback on college or anything at all, you can go on there and direct tweet and talk to us about it. But also we're planning prom at the moment. We're trying to organise something for after the awards ceremony, and we'd really want to make the event exactly what you want it to be. So we're going to be running polls and stuff on there so you can vote for what you want at prom. So if you could all go on, follow us and interact with us on there, it would be really good. But thank you for listening, and I hope it was helpful. I'm going to pass you over to Jess now.
Well, thank you so much to Grace. I'm sure you'll agree that was an incredibly insightful presentation and kind of mini crash course in all things digital for retail. And as you've just heard, there are some key trends and innovations happening within the retail area that are changing it, beyond recognition. The growth in multi-channel, customers are no longer just going into one shop. They're expecting an experience. Is making a need for new roles within the industry, which is what Grace has kind of just talked about. As a result, the FRA have launched some more digital mainstream courses, which are our 1-year level 4 courses, which are e-commerce for fashion and digital fashion. So if you guys are interested in pursuing a career in digital, then do look at those full-time courses. If you're not wanting to go on and study again for another year, one of the things that we are looking at is digital short courses. So we have started the development of these, and we're hopefully launching them for summer. These will be between 1 and 5 days in length, and will cover the key areas that Grace has just spoken about. So e-commerce, digital marketing, multi-channel retail, CRM. So if you guys are just completing a course in buying and merch or fashion retail, or any of the others, but you're interested in converting into a digital role, then I then come and speak to us upstairs on the second floor. We've got a short course table, and we'd love to talk to you guys about the courses that are coming up, because you know, they are an opportunity to convert into a more digital role, if that's what you want. So yeah, come up and say hi, and if you have any questions, then yeah, just come and ask. But thanks again to Grace, and let's give her another round of applause.